ZSS Harbinger tore through the fabric of space with a ripple of distorted light, its sleek silver-black hull gliding into the Sol system like a predator entering unguarded territory. On the bridge, Captain Vexlan leaned back in his command throne, his four-fingered hands steepled in satisfaction. The Zeperian dreadnought was a masterpiece of engineering, sleek, lethal, and utterly superior to anything this backwater system could muster. "Scan the third planet," Vexlan ordered, his voice dripping with the casual confidence of a conqueror. Lieutenant Kess, the Vorak science officer, tapped rapidly at her console. Her elongated fingers moved with precision, but her vertical pupils narrowed as data streamed across the holographic display. Atmospheric composition, nitrogen, oxygen mix, gravity, Fei standard. Surface temperature ranges from... Spare me the trivialities. Vexlan interrupted. Defenses? Kess hesitated. None. A ripple of laughter spread through the bridge crew. Their exoskeletal armor plates vibrated with amusement, a chorus of clicks and hums filling the air. None, Vexlan repeated, leaning forward. No orbital platforms, no fleet, just primitive satellites, Kess confirmed. A few derelict space stations. No energy signatures consistent with military technology. Vexlan's mandibles twitched in a smirk. Pathetic. He turned to his tactical officer. Inform High Command. Designate this world as a low-threat resource extraction site. Code, Softkin, Fey. A junior officer snorted. They won't even know what hit them. On the main view screen, Earth hung like a blue-green jewel against the black void. Clouds swirled over vast oceans. Continents sprawled beneath them. To the Zeperians, it looked fragile, peaceful, weak. In a secured observation deck aboard the Harbinger, two humans watched the same planet with very different expressions. Dr. Lisa Hayes, her dark hair pulled into a tight bun, adjusted her glasses as she studied the alien ship's sensor readouts. Beside her, Major Jake Morrison stood with his arms crossed, his jaw set. "They're not even trying to hide their scans," Lisa murmured. Jake's lips curled into a humorless smile. Why would they? They think we're blind. A chime sounded at the door. Lieutenant Kess entered, her posture stiff. "You are to remain here until the initial survey is complete," she said. Her voice clipped. "For your own safety." Lisa arched an eyebrow. "Safety? Or are you worried we'll see something you don't want us to?" Kess' pupils dilated slightly, a telltale sign of irritation among Vorak. "This is standard procedure for first contact with pre-FTL species." "First contact, lady. We've been listening to your transmissions for years." Kess froze. "That's impossible." Lisa tapped her tablet, pulling up a file. A garbled audio feed played Zeperian battle chatter, intercepted by a deep space monitoring array near Pluto. "Recognize that. It's your fleet's comms from the Battle of Zenthar's belt 3 years ago." Kess' scales flushed a pale blue shock. You shouldn't have that." Jake stepped closer, his voice dropping to a growl. "Here's the thing about humans, Lieutenant. We pay attention, and we remember." Back on the bridge, Vexlan barely glanced at the report Kess brought him, so they eavesdropped on a few transmissions. It changes nothing. Kess clenched her fists. "Captain, their technology is more advanced than we thought. They've been observing us. And what will they do?" Vexlan cut her off. "Throw rocks. Scream into the void?" He gestured to the view screen. "Look at them. No warships, no planetary shields. Their greatest achievement is a few tin cans floating in orbit." The tactical officer grinned. "Shall we deploy the landing parties?" Vexlan nodded. "Send Commander Dral and his team secure a landing zone in one of their major population centers. Let them see what real power looks like." Kess opened her mouth to protest, but the order was already being relayed on the screen. Earth continued to spin, oblivious, or so it seemed. Deep beneath the surface of Geneva, in a bunker shielded from all known forms of detection, a red light blinked on a console. A technician lifted a secure comm line. "Sir, The Zephyrians just took the bait. General Marcus Cole, standing before a wall-sized tactical display, allowed himself a small, grim smile. Good, let's see how they like our welcome party. Above them, the Harbinger's dropships detached, streaking toward the planet like falling stars. The Zephyrian dropship descended through Earth's atmosphere, its grav plates humming as they crushed ancient trees beneath its bulk. Commander Dral adjusted his shimmering chest plate, mandibles twitching in amusement as the vessel's scanners painted the jungle below. Pathetic, he muttered. No energy signatures, no defensive emplacements, just plants. Lieutenant Kess, the Vorak science officer, tapped a clawed finger against her datapad. Commander, I strongly advise caution. Initial scans indicate extreme biodiversity. Predatory signatures are. Dral waved her off. Predators, you think we should fear animals. His squad chuckled, their exoskeletal armor clicking in unison. We pacified the methane swamps of Zira. Faye, this is a garden. The dropship settled with a final shudder, its ramp hissing open. Hot, wet air rushed in, thick with the scent of rotting vegetation and something metallic. Dral's olfactory sensors flared. Move out, secure perimeter. And someone find me a local. I want to see these humans up close. The squad fanned out, their plasma rifles humming to life. The jungle swallowed them whole, vines snaking around their boots, insects buzzing against their visors. Private Virik slapped at his neck. Something stung me, he grumbled. Quiet, Dral snapped. Focus on... A twig snapped. The squad froze. Nothing moved. Then laughter, human laughter. Dral's head snapped toward the sound. Contact flanking formation. The jungle erupted. Plasma fire lit the canopy, searing through leaves, but the laughter only grew louder. A shadow darted between trees, too fast to track. Private Virik screamed as something yanked him backward into the undergrowth. His rifle clattered to the ground, still firing wildly. Hold position, Dral barked. Thermals on. The squad activated their heat sensors. Nothing. Just the oppressive green and the sound of their own breathing. Then a whisper in perfect Zephyrian. You shouldn't have come here. Dral spun, firing blindly. The plasma bolt vaporized a tree trunk. Show yourself. Silence, then a click. The squad's comms screeched with static. A voice calm and measured cut through. This is Sergeant Ava Carter, Amazon Defense Militia. You are trespassing on sovereign human territory. Lay down your weapons. Dral snarled. Or what? A plasma rifle clattered to the ground. Then another. Dral whirled to see two of his men standing rigid, their weapons discarded. What are you? Then he saw it. The glint of a scope, the faintest red dot dancing on Private Virix's forehead. Last chance, Carter's voice echoed. Dral hesitated. A single gunshot cracked through the jungle. Virix dropped. The squad broke. Plasma fire lit the canopy as the Zephyrians fired wildly, but the shadows moved faster. A figure dropped from the trees, landing silently behind Private Krell. A blade flashed. Krell gasped, his armor splitting like paper. Dral backpedaled, firing at nothing. Regroup, fall back to thee. A hand clamped over his mouth. Shh, Carter whispered in his ear. You're making it worse. Dral elbowed backward, but hit empty air. Carter was gone. The jungle fell silent. One by one, his squad's life signs blinked out on his HUD. Then, a new voice. Human, male, chuckling. Hey, Scales. Dral turned. A human male leaned against a tree, chewing lazily on a leaf. His camouflage gear blended seamlessly with the foliage. You guys really don't get it, do you? Dral raised his rifle. Surrender, or the human side. See, that is your problem. He tapped his earpiece. Light him up, boys. The jungle exploded. Gunfire, screams. The wet thunk of blades finding gaps in armor. Dral ran, branches whipped at his face. His breath came in ragged gasps. Behind him, the laughter followed. Then, a clearing the dropship. Salvation, He lunged for the ramp and froze. Sergeant Ava Carter stood in his path, wiping a knife clean. Around her, the militia emerged from the trees, their weapons trained on him. "Welcome to Earth," she said. "Now, let's talk about rules." Dral's last transmission to the Harbinger was a single, choked sentence before static swallowed it whole. "They're not hiding, they're hunting." The holographic projection flickered to life above the United Nations Plaza, casting an eerie blue glow over the assembled diplomats. Captain Vexlan's scaled face filled the display, his vertical pupils narrowed in contempt. Behind him, the bridge of the Zes Harbinger hummed with activity, Zephyrian crew members monitoring Earth's orbital grid with bored expressions. "People of Terra," Vexlan announced, his voice dripping with condescension. "The Zephyrian ascendancy claims this system under galactic mandate Fae. You will surrender all planetary defenses and submit to resource assessment." General Marcus Cole didn't flinch. The old soldier stood ramrod straight at the head of the human delegation, his uniform crisp despite the tension thickening the air. At his side, Ambassador Reth of the Vorak Collective shifted uncomfortably, his bioluminescent markings pulsing amber with distress. "You're making a mistake," Reth whispered to the Zephyrian comm officer, his voice barely audible over the transmission. "Scan their history. Look at their wars." The comm officer sneered, mandibles clicking. "Primitive tribal conflicts. Their most advanced weapons barely scratch our shields." Across the plaza, Dr. Lisa Hayes adjusted her glasses, her fingers trembling slightly as she tapped notes into her tablet. Major Jake Morrison noticed and leaned closer. "They really have no idea, do they?" Hayes shook her head. "They scanned our nukes and called them cute firecrackers. They didn't even notice the orbital kill, SATs." Up on the projection, Vexlan continued, "You have one planetary rotation to comply. Resistance will be met with orbital bombardment of population centers." Cole finally moved, a single step forward, his boots echoing on the marble. "Captain Vexlan," he said, voice like granite. "This is General Marcus Cole, United Nations Defense Corps. You are in violation of sovereign human space. Withdraw immediately." Laughter erupted from the Zephyrian bridge. Vexlan's frills flared crimson with amusement. "Or what? Softskin, you'll throw rocks at us." Cole didn't smile. "You landed troops in the Amazon 6 hours ago. Recall them." Now, a flicker of unease crossed Vexlan's face. "Commander Dral's team is conducting standard pacification operations. If your primitive settlements resisted..." "Dral's team stopped transmitting 20 minutes ago," Cole interrupted. "Your last signal came from grid reference Fei-Fei's Fei-Fei-Say Fei-Fei-W right near a Yanomami hunting ground." Silence. Ambassador Reth went pale, his markings flashing red. "Vexlan, listen to me," he hissed. "Humans evolved on a death world. Their children play in jungles that would kill your elite warriors. That Amazon, it is sentient. It hates outsiders." Vexlan's frills stiffened. "Enough. Dral's squad has pulse rifles and cloaking tech. Your savages with sticks are no threat." A new voice crackled over the comms roar, distorted. Screams echoed in the background, punctuated by something wet and tearing. "Captain." Dral's voice was raw with panic. "They're in the trees, there." The transmission dissolved into static. Then, clear as a bell, a human voice came through. A woman's, calm and cold. "Zephyrian vessel, this is Sergeant Ava Carter, Amazon Defense Militia. Your boys just learned why we don't go into the green after dark." The plaza erupted into chaos. Diplomats shouted, aides scrambled, but Cole never moved. His eyes stayed locked on Vexlan's frozen image. Reth grabbed the comm console. "Recall your ships," he begged the Zephyrians. "You're not fighting soldiers, you're fighting the planet." Vexlan's frills flattened against his skull. "This changes nothing. Orbital strike teams prepare to..." Cole moved faster than any of the aliens expected. He slammed his palm onto the console, overriding the transmission. "Retribution, this is Cole. Light them up somewhere above Earth. hidden satellites powered on. The Harbinger's collision alarms began to wail, and in the jungles below, the trees kept screaming. Lieutenant Kess's claws trembled over the sensor console. "Captain, I'm detecting." The bridge lights flickered as the Harbinger's shields flared suddenly. Captain Vexlan's crest flattened in irritation. "Report!" "Energy signatures," Kess hissed, her frills pulsing crimson. "Dozens of them. There." The view screen lit up with targeting locks. Not from below, from everywhere. Vexlan's third eye dilated. Impossible, scans showed no orbital defenses. A proximity alarm shrieked. Kess's console flashed as new contacts bloomed across the tactical display. Stealth satellites shedding camouflage, their railgun barrels rotating with mechanical precision. "Sir," Kess whispered. They were hiding. The first impact rocked the Harbinger before she finished speaking. A tungsten slug the size of a ground car punched through their port shield generator. Atmosphere vented in a screaming whirlwind before emergency bulkheads slammed shut. Vexlan gripped his command throne. "Return fire. All batteries." His gunnery officer's claws danced over controls. "Weapons offline. Targeting systems jammed." Outside, the void came alive. Human fighters, small, angular craft, they dismissed as debris, detached from asteroid clusters, and burned toward them at impossible accelerations. Their engines didn't glow, no ion trails, just sudden, brutal velocity. Kess's console lit up with another warning. Massive energy spike, bearing Faymark. The USN Retribution decloaked 5 kilometers off their bow. Vexlan's crest went rigid. The monstrosity looming before them defied classification. A jagged, asymmetrical nightmare of welded armor plates and protruding gun barrels. Its hull bore scars from decades of service, patches where entire sections had been reforged after catastrophic damage. "This is Major Jake Morrison." A voice crackled over comms, human amused. "You've got 10 seconds to power down weapons and surrender." Vexlan snarled. "Open hailing frequencies? Humans don't dictate terms to." The Retribution's main gun fired. A hypersonic projectile tore through the Harbinger's forward shields like they weren't there. The round didn't explode. It didn't need to. Kinetic energy alone vaporized 3 decks before exiting through engineering. Alarms wailed. Damage reports flooded Kess's screen. Primary thrusters gone. Life support failing on deck 7 through. Another impact. Then another. The human railgun platforms in orbit had synchronized fire. Vexlan watched his tactical display dissolve into chaos. His fleet, 12 ships of the line, the pride of the Zephyrian advance guard, was being dismantled. The Dawnseeker took a direct hit to its bridge. The Veil of Honor vented plasma from a dozen breaches. "Captain," Kess screamed. "The humans are boarding us." Vexlan whirled to the internal sensors. Human figures in powered armor were cutting through bulkheads near the hangar bay. Their movements were too fast, too precise. One looked up, right into a security cam. The faceplate retracted, revealing a scarred human female grinning. "Sergeant Ava Carter," she said, like she knew he was watching. "Welcome to Earth." Then she blew the camera out. Kess grabbed his arm. "We have to retreat now." Vexlan hesitated. Surrender was unthinkable, but the Harbinger was coming apart around them. "All ships," he barked. Emergency warp jumps, coordinates at the Retribution fired again. This time, the round hit the Harbinger's warp core. Space twisted. Reality screamed. For 3 terrible seconds, the Zephyrian flagship existed in 2 places at once, half in normal space, half caught in a failed jump. Then the containment failed. Kess had one final thought before the void claimed them. They let us find their world. The Harbinger tore itself apart in a silent explosion. On the Retribution's bridge, Major Morrison watched the fireworks. His comm officer turned. "Sir, the remaining Zephyrian ships are fleeing." Morrison nodded. "Let them go." He tapped a command into his console. "Broadcast this on all frequencies." A message pulsed across the galaxy, encrypted, unmistakable. This was a courtesy. Next time, we come to you. In the ruins of the Harbinger's wreckage, a single black box survived. Its final recording showed human engineers already picking through the debris. Salvaging, learning. One looked into the broken camera, smiled, then crushed it under his boot. The jungle canopy exploded with gunfire as Sergeant Ava Carter's team opened up on the Zephyrian dropship. Plasma bolts sizzled through the humid air, but the human weapons, modified with scavenged alien power cells, hit harder than the invaders expected. A Zephyrian soldier in shimmering armor went down, his chest plate shattered by a tungsten round. "Move up," Ava barked, her adaptive camo flickering as she darted between trees. Her squad followed, their gear a patchwork of human engineering and stolen alien tech. One of her men, Corporal Reyes, carried a jury-rigged plasma cutter, originally a mining tool, now a weapon that could slice through Zephyrian armor like butter. Inside the dropship, Commander Dral snarled as another proximity alarm blared. "How are they everywhere?" he demanded, slamming a clawed fist against the console. His remaining soldiers clustered near the ramp, their confidence shattered. The jungle wasn't supposed to fight back. Lieutenant Kess's voice crackled over the comms from orbit. "Dral, pull back. The Harbinger is under attack." A railgun round from the USN Retribution chose that moment to strike. The Zephyrian dreadnought shuddered as its shields flared and died. Captain Vexlan stumbled on the bridge, his arrogance replaced by raw panic. "Return fire. All batteries target that." Another impact. The Retribution wasn't just a ship, it was a monster. Its frame retrofitted from a decommissioned colony hauler, its weapons scavenged from a dozen black projects. Major Jake Morrison grinned from the tactical station as the Harbinger's hull buckled. "That's for the Amazon," he muttered. On the ground, Ava's team breached the dropship. Reyes torched the door with his plasma cutter, and the humans stormed inside. The Zephyrians fought, but they were trained for open warfare, not close. Quarters slaughter. Ava put 3 rounds into Dral's chest before he could raise his sidearm. The commander gasped, his blood an unnatural shade of violet. You were supposed to be prey," he choked. Ava ejected her magazine and reloaded. "Welcome to Earth." Above, the Harbinger's engines failed. Vexlan screamed orders, but the human fighters, previously hidden among orbital debris, swarmed like angry wasps. Their missiles weren't as advanced as Zephyrian tech, but there were hundreds of them. The dreadnought's point defense systems overloaded. "Captain," Kess yelled as a warhead punched through the bridge viewport. The last thing Vexlan saw was the Retribution's railguns charging again. On the Retribution's bridge, Major Morrison watched the Harbinger break apart. "Tell Command Phase 1 is complete," he said. A junior officer hesitated. "Sir, they're surrendering. Some of the escape pods." Morrison didn't look away from the screens. "Let them run. Let them tell everyone what happened here." In the jungle, Ava's team rigged the dropship to blow. As the flames lit up the trees, she keyed her radio. "All militia units. This is Carter. LZ is secure. Fall back to Rally Point Gamma." Somewhere in the distance, a Zephyrian survivor whimpered. Ava didn't spare him a glance. Above Earth, the Retribution turned its guns toward the fleeing remnants of the advance guard. The message was clear. The Death Welders were done playing defense. Ambassador Reth's claws trembled as he adjusted the recording device. The holographic emitter captured every detail. The burning wreckage of Zephyrian ships, tumbling through Earth's atmosphere. The human fighters darting between debris like predatory fish. The USN Retribution looming over the battlefield, like a steel god. His mandibles clicked in distress as he composed the most important transmission of his career. "This is Ambassador Reth of the Vorak Diplomatic Corps," he began, his voice steady despite the carnage on screen. "Priority alert to all Federation members. Cease all hostile actions against Sol System immediately." The Vorak High Council's response came faster than light should allow. Chancellor Vrel's three-eyed face flickered into existence above Reth's wrist projector. Explain this insanity, Ambassador. The Zeperian advance guard was gone, Reth interrupted. Within 6 hours of engagement. Every ship destroyed or captured. Every ground unit eliminated. He tilted the projector to show General Marcus Cole standing nearby, sipping black liquid from a ceramic mug. The human commander didn't even look up from his datapad. Chancellor Vrel's frills flattened against his skull. Impossible. Their scans showed no orbital defenses beyond. A ruse, Reth said. He zoomed the recording on a human technician welding salvaged Zeperian plasma cannons onto what appeared to be a modified agricultural drone. Their primitive satellites were stealth platforms. Their abandoned space stations housed railgun batteries. Even their civilian vessels. The footage switched to show the Retribution's massive hull, its patchwork armor clearly made from scrapped colony ships and mining rigs. General Cole finally looked up. We recycle. A new voice crackled through the comms. High Chancellor Zix of the Zeperian Dominion. This is treason, Reth. You're aiding these animals. Cole set down his mug. The sound echoed like a gunshot in the sudden silence. Animals, he repeated. His lips curled into something no Vorak would ever mistake for a smile. Tell me, Chancellor, how many death worlds does your empire control? Zix's hologram flickered. That is irrelevant. 0, Cole said. Your species evolved on a garden world. Stable climate, no predators, abundant food. He tapped his datapad, and the Retribution's main screen displayed a montage. Lightning storms over Amazonia, blizzards burying Moscow, a tornado ripping through an American prairie. Earth's average temperature swing would kill your troops in hours. Our children play in conditions that require your soldiers to wear powered armor. Reth watched Zix's hologram pale to a sickly gray. The Zeperian Chancellor had seen the same footage he had. Sergeant Ava Carter's militia emerging from the jungle with weapons made from salvaged alien tech. Human engineers reverse. Engineering plasma rifles mid-battle, the way Earth's very atmosphere seemed to aid its defenders. Acid rain dissolving Zeperian armor seals. Bacteria in the water giving their medics fits. Lieutenant Kess stumbled onto the bridge, her exoskeleton scorched. She'd escaped the Harbinger's destruction in a life pod. Captain Vexlan's last order, she gasped, clutching a data crystal. For the High Council. Reth inserted the crystal. Vexlan's final transmission filled the room. The Zeperian captain's face was a mask of blood and terror. They knew, he screamed. The video shook as explosions rocked the Harbinger. They knew we were coming, the satellites, the stealth tech. It was all The screen went black. General Cole picked up his coffee. Like I said, we recycle. Chancellor Vrel's frills stood straight up. You let them find you. Cole took a sip. Had to test the new toys somewhere. Reth's recorder captured every horrified expression on the Federation channels. He leaned close to the transmitter. Listen carefully, humanity could have destroyed the advance guard the moment they entered the system. They didn't. He swallowed hard. They wanted witnesses. Outside the observation deck windows, human engineers swarmed over captured Zeperian ships. Welders sparked in the darkness as they tore apart alien technology. A team cheered as they got a plasma drive working. Backwards, judging by the way it exploded moments later. No one seemed upset. If anything, they looked excited. Tell your people, Reth whispered into the recorder. Tell them not to send fleets. Tell them not to provoke these. Death welders, Kess finished, her voice hollow. Cole set his empty mug down with a click. This was a courtesy. He nodded to someone off. Screen, the Retribution's engines flared to life, casting long shadows across the bridge. Next time, we come to you. The transmission ended across the galaxy. 1,000 councils fell into silence. Captain Ryan Blake leaned back in his command chair, the battle footage playing across the Retribution's main screen. The bridge crew cheered as the holographic display showed the ZSS Harbinger breaking apart under their railgun fire. Its sleek silver-black hull torn open like paper. The remnants of the Zephyrian advance guard fled in disarray, their ships trailing plasma fires as they scrambled for the jump point. "Damage report," Blake said, his voice calm, despite the adrenaline still coursing through him. "Minimal, sir," Lieutenant Cho replied, her fingers dancing across her console. Shields held at bay, a few scorch marks on the outer hull from their point defense turrets, but nothing structural. Blake smirked. Not bad for a decommissioned colony hauler around him. The crew laughed, the tension of the battle finally breaking. Engineers were already scrambling through the wreckage of the Zephyrian ships, salvaging what they could. Human ingenuity had always been their greatest weapon. Give them alien tech, and they'd reverse, engineer it before dinner. But Blake's smile faded as he looked at the stars through the viewport. This wasn't over. On the other side of the galaxy, High Chancellor Zix of the Zephyrian Dominion stared at the transmission in horror. The footage from Ambassador Reth played on loop, human soldiers emerging from the jungle like ghosts, their adaptive camo flickering as they dismantled Zephyrian armor with scavenged weapons. The Retribution decloaking, its massive railgun tearing through the Harbinger like it was made of tin. This is impossible," Zix whispered, his 4 hands trembling. They were supposed to be primitive. Reth's final message echoed through the chamber, his voice grim. "Do not send fleets. Do not provoke them. They wanted us to attack." The council chamber was silent back on Earth. General Marcus Cole sipped his coffee, watching the last of the Zephyrian ships vanish from the orbital tracking screens. The room around him buzzed with activity, analysts debriefing, officers coordinating cleanup, diplomats already drafting statements for the Galactic Federation. Ambassador Reth stood beside him, his Vorak features unreadable. "You knew," he said quietly. Cole didn't look at him. "Knew what? That we'd underestimate you, that we'd see your lack of orbital defenses and assume you were weak." Cole took another sip. "We didn't hide our defenses, Reth. We just didn't advertise them." Reth's tendrils twitched. "You let them land. You let them think they'd won." Now Cole turned, his gaze steady. "First rule of hunting, Ambassador. You don't chase the prey. You let the prey come to you." Sergeant Ava Carter wiped the blood from her knife, watching as the last of the Zephyrian dropship's wreckage smoldered in the Amazon mud. Her squad moved through the jungle like shadows, their adaptive camo blending seamlessly with the foliage. "All hostiles accounted for, Sarge," Corporal Diaz reported, his voice crackling over the comms. Ava nodded. "Burn the bodies. No traces." She looked up at the sky where the Retribution hung in low orbit like a silent sentinel. The Zephyrians had thought Earth was soft, fragile. They'd learned otherwise. Captain Vexlan's last transmission played across every comm channel in the galaxy, his voice distorted with panic. "They're not defending their world. They're luring us in. Their ships, their weapons," the recording cut off with a scream. Blake stood on the Retribution's observation deck, staring at the stars. The crew's celebration had died down, replaced by a quiet determination. They'd won today. But the galaxy was vast, and humanity had just announced its presence with a bang. "Open a channel," Blake ordered. Lieutenant Cho hesitated. "Sir, to who?" "Evrione." The comms officer nodded, his fingers flying across the console. A moment later, the light blinked green. Blake took a breath, then he spoke, his voice calm, measured, and utterly terrifying. "This was a courtesy. Next time, we come to you." The transmission ended silence. Then, across 1,000 worlds, a single realization dawned. Humanity wasn't just defending its home, it was preparing for war.